Okay, so here's the thing. I am completely addicted to knitting. I am in love with knitting. I knit every single day, no matter what my plans are, no matter how busy I am. I always find time to just sit down, block everything else out, and just knit. And I thought it was time for me to share some of my knitting adventures. Let's call it adventures. I'm filming this on my phone because I have no other choice, so we'll just have to embrace it as an artistic decision. We're keeping it lo-fi for artistic purposes. Let's do it. Back in June, I visited Copenhagen, and I was in Copenhagen for like 5 days, I think. And I visited a bunch of yarn stores. All of them were just so lovely. And I brought back like 2 suitcases full of yarn. And my bag actually cracked when I got it from baggage claim. It just cracked open from all the yarns I bought, but I didn't lose anything. The first thing I knit when I got back, like literally the next day, was this basket, which is just a Raffia crochet basket. The yarn I got for it was from this store called, I don't know how to pronounce it, so I'm just gonna put this up. But it's this pretty big basket. The yarn was called paper yarn, but for me it's just raffia. And when I was knitting it, I realized that I actually prefer raffia that is kind of tightly spun together, as opposed to just this really flat papery strand. Because for contrasting color, I used the raffia I already had at home, which was Fibra Natura raffia. And this is actually the flat one, and it really splits a lot, and it's easy to rip it while you're knitting. Anyway, where was I? This flat raffia, not fun to work with. From now on, I think I'm just gonna be looking out for the more tightly spun raffias. And for this basket, I used 4 balls of this green color. I held it double, and I've been using this basket to store my yarns, like the yarns I'm gonna use for something the soonest, and I've been changing around the stuff I have here all the time, and just keeping it as decor, you know. And in this basket now I have double Sunday from Sandnes Garn in this beautiful gray color. I also got it in Copenhagen. All of the stuff I'm gonna show you here are from Copenhagen, and I'm gonna be using it to make a sweater for my boyfriend. I already started it, so let me show you. It's just a simple raglan sweater, nothing special, and the only like pattern detail I have here is this brioche detail on the raglan increases. And it's gonna take me a long time to knit, but I'm still enjoying it. Like even now I'm picking it up and I'm actually like already setting up my hands to knit on it. It's addicting. And I heard some people say that this yarn is really splitty and uncomfortable to knit with, and I disagree. It's extremely buttery and like super comfy to knit with, and doesn't split in my case at all. So I'm happy to have this mostly mindless project for a long time. I'm hoping to finish it by October to finally gift it to my boyfriend. But yeah, it's gonna take me a long time because he's a big boy and I have 11 balls to go through. Also for myself, I bought this Gepard Pura Lana yarn in this chocolate color. It's 50% alpaca and 50% wool. And I'm planning to make a cabled sweater from it. I haven't found the perfect pattern for it yet, so there's a chance I might be freestyling the sweater. So I kind of, for now, keep it on display to maybe at some point get an idea for it. I don't know if that makes sense. So what else I got? I also got two colors, like 3 balls of each color of this Panduro wool. It's just 100% wool. It was on sale, as you can see, from a craft store. And I'm gonna be making colorwork socks from it, which are called Summer Memories. I already started them, but I haven't gotten really far because it's colorwork and I need to kind of look at the pattern. Oh, I lost some stitches here. But anyway, I haven't gotten really far. I just finished both ribbings on the socks and just keep it in this project bag. I lost a ball, so let me pick it up. So this project bag, by the way, is also something I made from the yarn I bought in Copenhagen. This yarn is called Retrosaria Mondim, I think, and it's a sock yarn which is non-superwash, but for some reason I only got 1 ball, and I tried to pair it with other sock yarns, which didn't work out because it's a little bit thicker and rougher than most of the sock yarns I have, because I have just a regular superwash blends. And I ended up just making a project bag from it. I had a little bit of a granny square obsession for some time, for like a month or so. So I made this project bag. Don't look inside because inside it's just a mess. I tried to do a lining, but I'm the worst sewer ever. So let's just not talk about it. But anyway, as a project bag, it's really fun, and I actually wore it a few times as just a regular bag. And I was so pleased with how it looks that I ended up actually making another granny square bag or purse. This one. This is from the yarn I actually had in my stash, and I've just been wearing it all summer basically, just as a regular bag. And the lining is just as bad on this one as on the other one, but I don't care, like nobody will look inside my bag, hopefully. I also got 4 balls of this Drops Alpaca Bouclé. I have never knit with Bouclé yarn before, so I wanted to try it out, and I'm planning to make something like home decor related, maybe a throw pillow from it. And it's really soft and squishy, and the color is really lovely. I like all the neutral colors like that, so that's that. And my favorite yarn from all the ones I brought, surprisingly, like the best yarn from all of this, is the Sandnes Lana, I think it's called. I lost the ball band. I thought it was called Line, but no, it's Lana. And I used it to make a project bag, which I'm gonna show you in a second, and this t-shirt, which is also one of the my favorite things I made this summer. And the pattern is called Palme Tee Solo. I like the lacing on here, and I like how the lacing actually opened up once I blocked it. I really recommend the pattern. It's really well written, and the lace actually goes really quickly. And the thing that kind of stalled me with this pattern was the actual body. When you can't really see it, but it's just this stockinette body, and it took me a long time just because it's this mindless 200 plus stitches of stockinette over and over. And also from this Lana yarn, I made this little project bag for like sock projects, and I think it's really cute. It's just a moss stitch with a little folded rim to add a string through here, and the string is just a chain stitch string, let's call it that. I added some little beads and this cute cute kitty cat on here. And I keep a sock project here. It's just a sock. It's the beginning of a toe up sock. And this yarn is actually something I already had. It's Regia silk color, I think it's called. I'm gonna put the colorway below also. So yeah, I also made a lining for it, and it's also really bad, so I'm not gonna show it to you. Speaking of Sandnes, I also picked up 2 different colors of Sandnes Garn Duo. This is this beautiful blue seafoam, I think, color. And this color I'm gonna use for a sweater for my nephew. The pattern I'm gonna be using is Alfred sweater by Petite Knit. And I think this yarn is actually a perfect choice for him because it's a merino and cotton blend. And he is 6 years old. He moves around a lot. He's just doing a bunch of like crazy things and just jumping around all the time. And I don't want him to be too kind of warm or sweaty in his jumper. So I don't want to use like 100% wool because it's going to be too warm. But at the same time, I don't want to use acrylic because it's just going to be way too sweaty. So this is a perfect choice. And I got another color of Duo, which is this like caramel, like salted caramel, let's call it, color. There is no name on the colorway on the actual yarn, and I used up all of it for this t-shirt, which is T number 1 from My Favorite Things Knitwear. And I did not like the pattern at all. Like I like the design, I like the finished object, but this pattern was a mess. It was the second pattern I bought from My Favorite Things. And let's just say I'm not gonna be purchasing any more of her patterns, even though, again, the designs look beautiful. For me, it's just not really well written. It omits a lot of things that should be explained, but at the same time, the things that are really easy to explain are explained in this really complicated, almost purple prose-like way, which is really confusing. And it was so hard for me to figure out what she wants me to do that at some point I ditched the pattern altogether and I just looked at the finished pictures and kind of reversed engineered what I need to do in this particular section, and I just used the stitch count as a guide. Everything else I was just kind of, well, not freestyling, but just kind of using my own like logic and knowledge to make sure I'm doing the right thing, because the actual instructions are really, really hard to understand. And this project is really cursed, let's say, because first, I stumbled because the pattern was really hard to understand. Then I realized I'm not gonna have enough yarn, and I ordered one more ball, which came, and I started knitting with it. I knit like maybe this much-ish, and I realized that it's a different lot, and the color is different. And then I was actually organizing my yarns and I found the missing ball. Turns out I wasn't out of yarn, I just lost a ball. It just rolled somewhere under the bed or something. And I had to rip everything out and start over. And then I started over and my needles actually snapped. Like, let me show you, let me pull them up and show you. Like, look at this. These are like, you know, regular good quality Choco needles, which I used for like 3 years without any issues, and they just snapped and the cord just broke, so they're unusable now. I was able to just order another pair, but you know, we had to soldier down. And Yeah, it was a stressful pattern, but the t-shirt is lovely. I'm probably gonna insert the video of me wearing it. I love the color and it goes with almost everything I have in my closet. Yeah, what is next? I also bought some sock yarn from Filcolana, which I used to make another puff tee. I already have a puff tee and I love it, but there was a lot of drama involved in that puff tee because I was using yarn from my stash which I couldn't get more of, and I ended up just cutting corners everywhere I could to make sure I have enough yarn. I played like the most dramatic game of yarn chicken ever. So I decided I'm gonna buy another yarn to make another puff tee, this time more closer to the original pattern, which I did. I still made it a little bit different because I don't really care for twisted rib. I like 2x2 rib much more. So that's what I did here. And I made the rib a little bit longer here. And I used Filcolana Arwetta, I think it's called, sock yarn with 2 strands of different silk mohair. The silk mohair is called Soft Dream, and it's actually from a Ukrainian yarn brand called Yarna. And I used a white and more of a beigey color to make it. And it's super warm. It's like sweater warm, but I think it's still gonna find a place in my wardrobe because I really love how puff tees fit, and this is also the pattern that is extremely well written. And since we had a heat wave in July, I decided that the best thing to knit in heat wave is an 8mm rowing 100% wool colorwork sweater. Okay, so the story goes like this. My friend from Copenhagen, she gifted me 2 balls of beautiful rowing wool and like a rainbow variegated color, which she just had lying around. She tried to knit but realized that she doesn't really like to knit. So I decided I'm just gonna use a basic, like more neutral colored yarn and incorporate it as a little color work detail. And I bought 10 balls of Drops Snow. And once I saw that I have 10 huge balls of yarn laying around, I was just like, no, I need to knit this now because I know it's gonna be fast. I just need to get through it because I don't want the huge like bag of yarn lying around. Even though it's hot, I wanted to get this out of the way and like put it in my closet and not in my yarn storage. It was actually a really quick knit, but it was too hot for me to knit, so I tried to do it as quick as possible, and I really like the result. It's a little bit sloppy and it's just super kind of homey and freestyle, but I think I'm gonna enjoy it a lot in winter when it gets really, really like cold and snowy. The only problem I had with it is that when I ordered the yarn, it was shown as more like a beigey color, kind of similar to the puff tee color, but when it arrived it was just gray, which was a disappointment, but I think it worked fine in the end and I love gray. So yeah, but then another problem. I had a lot of this rainbow yarn still left. So since I was in my granny square obsession mood, I used it up to make this. Now it looks like a, how do you call it, like baby blanket, but I only have one baby in my life, which doesn't really want it. And it's just waiting for the weather to really cool down so I can order more rowing yarn and finish it up and make it just as big as I want in gray, but the center will be this rainbowy color. So should be lovely and really warm. Plus it's really quick and I had so much fun knitting with this rainbow color because every time the color changed, it just lifted my mood in like completely different way. I would really recommend, especially if you're more into neutrals like me, try knitting with something super funky and like colorful, because it really lifts up the mood, at least in my case. Like two more yarns to show you. This is Selma by Permin, or Permin, I'm not sure how it's pronounced. And it's just a sock yarn. I already wound it up into cakes, but I liked it because it's a hand-dyed yarn that is really kind of neutral and beigey, which I really, really love. I have a definite color scheme in my life. And I actually bought it to make the buff tee, to like stripe it with a white color, but I started it and I knit it up to around here. I did all the saddle shoulders and things, but it was just not working out, so I frogged it, and now it's wound up and waiting for another project to come along. I only have 2 balls, which is like 100 grams. So yeah, I'll figure something out. And the last yarn I'm gonna show you today. I went to a thrift store and I bought somebody's leftovers, yarn leftovers, and I wound them up carefully into little cakes. This is Einband from Istex, like this Icelandic thin yarn that you actually add to Sloppy or like those yarn cakes of unspun yarn to make it more sturdy. And I don't know what the person was making from it, but it's really lovely, and I love the idea of just basically like saving up somebody's little leftovers and to have the colors that I didn't actually like choose, but to have this kind of constraint of trying to make something from the colors and the amount of yarn that I have available. It's just like a little challenge. Plus it looks really, really pretty just as a kind of decor in my yarn basket. So we'll see. And also, again, for like pennies, I got this needle case, which I already filled with most of my crochet hooks and like DPNs I have. And another treasure I got was this, I don't know if you can see it, it's right there, my yarn Swift. I like that it's really petite and it can be used as decoration when I'm not using it, and it works just fine, and it was really cheap. So as soon as I saw it, it was just, you know, kind of lit up like in a movie, and I was just, no, you're coming home with me. I'm glad we found each other. So now it's just, whenever I'm not using it, it just, it's kept in my little decor shelf. What else can I talk about? Yeah, one more thing. This is how much I have left of the Sandnes Garn Lana, and I have no idea what to make from it. It's like almost 200 grams of those like random colors, and if you have any ideas what I can make from it, please let me know, because I have no clue. Yeah, I think I am done talking. I hope it wasn't boring. I hope my voice is fine. I hope the quality is fine. Of the audio, I mean. As I said, we're keeping it lo-fi, so I'm not worried about the video quality. And please let me know what you're working on. Please, please subscribe. I know like 2 people are gonna watch this, especially until the end, but if you're one of those 2 people, please, you have to subscribe. If you don't, I'm just gonna be judging you. Like, you do you go on your own like path, and you can skip subscribing, but I think you should.